A police officer just tapped your car hood. And if you do not know what to do in the next 30 seconds, that single moment could cost you your driver's license, your freedom, and thousands of dollars in legal fees. Not because you did anything wrong, but because you did not know the rules of an encounter that had already started before the officer even reached your window. Before we go any further, are you subscribed to this channel? Because what I am about to walk you through is the kind of information most people only find out about after it is too late. Hit that subscribe button right now. I post these legal breakdowns every single week, and I do not want you missing a single one. Here is what most people do not know. When a police officer walks up to your car during a traffic stop and taps your car hood, that is not random. That is not an accident. That is a trained behavior. Officers have done this for decades for one specific reason: to leave their fingerprints on your car. If something goes wrong during that stop, investigators can prove the officer made contact with the vehicle. It is a safety and documentation habit baked into police training. But here is the part nobody is talking about. That tap is not just a fingerprint habit. For the driver sitting inside the car, it is the official start of a legal encounter. From that moment forward, everything you say, every move you make, and every second of hesitation or panic is potentially on dashcam, on body cam, and in an officer's written report. You are building a legal record in real time. And that record either works for you or against you later. Most drivers have no idea that the encounter has already begun before the officer reaches the window. That is exactly why so many people get this wrong. So let me walk you through precisely what to do, step by step, starting from the moment those lights appear in your mirror. This is educational information, not legal advice. Laws vary by state and by situation. Always consult a licensed attorney in your jurisdiction for guidance specific to your circumstances. Now let us talk about what happens once contact is made and the conversation starts, because this is where most people make their most costly mistakes. The first thing you need to do is resist the urge to slam on your brakes and stop immediately wherever you are. Instead, slow down, activate your hazard lights right away to signal that you acknowledge the officer, and take a few seconds to pull over to a safe, well-lit location if one is available. This is not resisting or evading. Courts have consistently recognized that moving to a safe or stop location is reasonable driver behavior. What it also gives you is critical: a few extra seconds to get mentally prepared and get your hands placed correctly on the steering wheel before the officer arrives at your window. The second thing is that your hands stay on that wheel. Not reaching into the glove box. Not digging through the center console. Not turning around to watch the officer approach. Both hands visible on the wheel when that officer arrives at your window. The officer begins observing your movements the moment they step out of their patrol car. Any reaching motion toward storage areas before you have communicated with the officer is something they will need to interpret without context. Take that variable off the table. When the officer reaches your window, greet them calmly and say this: "Officer, I want to keep my hands where you can see them. Just let me know when you would like me to reach for my documents, and I will tell you exactly where I am going before I move." That one sentence changes the tone of the entire stop. The third thing, and this is where most people are dangerously underprepared, is knowing your state's duty to inform laws before you ever get behind the wheel. In many states, there are specific legal requirements around what you must disclose to a law enforcement officer during a traffic stop, particularly if you are carrying a licensed firearm. Some states require you to disclose immediately upon first contact. Others only require disclosure if asked directly. And in some states, there is no affirmative duty at all. If you are in a duty to inform state, and you stay silent about carrying a firearm, that silence alone can be used against you in court, even if your permit is valid. even if the firearm is properly stored. The failure to inform becomes its own legal violation, and prosecutors will use that detail to complicate an otherwise clean case. This is not theoretical. It happens regularly. Knowing which category your state falls into is not optional information for a driver who carries. It is as essential as knowing your license is current. The fourth thing you need to understand is how to handle questions that go beyond the basic details of the stop. Officers are trained to ask broad, open-ended questions during traffic stops. Questions like, "Is there anything in this car I should know about?" seem conversational. They are not. Any broad denial you make in response to a question like that becomes part of the official record of that stop. If your answer turns out to be incomplete or inaccurate, even unintentionally, you have now created a separate legal exposure that has nothing to do with the original reason you were pulled over. The correct approach is to answer questions directly and specifically. Answer only what was asked. Do not make sweeping denials. Do not volunteer information that was not requested. Direct and specific keeps you honest and keeps you protected. The fifth thing, and this is the piece nobody talks about, is how to handle the situation if it begins to escalate. If the officer asks to search the vehicle, asks you to step out, or the conversation becomes more serious, the most legally protective phrase you can use is this: "I want to cooperate fully, officer. Can you tell me how you would like to proceed so we can do this safely?" That language signals cooperation. It signals situational awareness. It keeps you in control of the pace of the interaction without being confrontational. And courts have looked favorably on documented cooperation combined with calm, clear communication. What courts do not look favorably on is sudden unexplained movements, argumentative responses, or anything that suggests a lack of awareness of the situation. Hey, real quick. A large number of people watching this right now are not subscribed to this channel. That means a significant portion of you are going to miss the follow-up content that builds on everything we are covering today. I have a growing community of viewers who rely on this channel for no-nonsense legal breakdowns that they can actually use. Do not be the person who watches this video and forgets to subscribe, then finds themselves in a car hood stop next month with no idea what their rights are. Hit subscribe right now. It takes 2 seconds and it genuinely could change your outcome. Now let us pull the entire sequence together one final time so that it sticks. The moment you see those lights in your mirror, slow down calmly, activate your hazard lights, and move to a safe and well-lit location. Keep both hands on the steering wheel visible before the officer reaches your window. Do not reach for anything without first telling the officer where your hands are going and why. Know before you ever start your car whether your state has a duty to inform law, and if it does, your first sentence to the officer is your disclosure. Answer all questions directly and specifically, without broad denials or unnecessary volunteering of information. And if the stop escalates, your phrase is, "I want to cooperate fully, officer. Please tell me how you would like to proceed so we can do this safely." Those steps are not complicated, but they require you to know them before the moment arrives. Because when those lights flash in your mirror and that officer gets out of the patrol car and walks toward you, that is not the time to start thinking about this. That is the time to execute what you already know. This matters more now than ever. Multiple states are actively reviewing traffic stop procedures and driver rights laws heading into 2026. The legal landscape around what drivers must do, what officers can ask, and what constitutes proper conduct during a stop is shifting. You need to stay informed. Which is exactly why subscribing to this channel right now is one of the most practical things you can do for yourself as a driver. Here is the bottom line. When a cop taps your car hood, that is the starting point of a legal encounter that is already being documented. Every word you say, Every movement you make, and every second of panic or hesitation becomes part of the record. Drivers who know the rules walk away clean. Drivers who improvise, even when they have done absolutely nothing wrong, can walk away with legal problems that take months and serious money to resolve. You watched this video today. That means you are already ahead of most people who will face this exact situation with no preparation. Do not waste that advantage. If this breakdown helped you understand your rights and how to protect them, subscribe to this channel right now and share this video with someone who needs it. More videos covering your rights, how to use them, and how to protect yourself legally are on the way. Subscribe and hit the bell so you never miss one. I will see you in the next one.